So, what kind of feedback is this? Shunt series. Okay. So, like this you play around with all kinds of gimmicks here to give you series, shunt series, so on and so forth. And at the end of the day, you use many of these feedbacks, multiple feedbacks, to get what you want. This kind of design innovations is going on and on. Even today we do that, similar innovations, because people are now interested in designing amplifiers which have a bandwidth up to 5.5 gigahertz, 0 to 5.5 gigahertz. Now, how do you do that? So, this is the kind of tricks you play to increase the bandwidth with some specifications on input impedance, output impedance, and so on and so forth.
Excuse me, sir. Is there an application where such a large bandwidth?
Obviously, present day carrier frequencies are what? Gen, what do you call? 3Gs, 4Gs, 5Gs are going up and up. So, we should remember this, and so this is the way the feedback has become a very powerful tool, and we all the time said this oscillation is a pain in the neck, right? So, one of the left hand pole moves to right half plane with the feedback, and then we end up into circuit going into oscillation, and we do not want that to happen. So, when you are amplifier designer, oscillation is a pain in the neck, but if you are designing signal generators, oscillating is a very important necessity for you, right? So, the same one which you do not want in the feedback, now you want it to happen when you talk about signal generators. So, now we will discuss signal generators, which we generally call the oscillator. The term oscillator is a generic term in the sense that oscillator only represents that it gives you periodic waveforms, nothing more than that. It repeats itself after some time period t. This is a periodic waveform with the output of this black box, which is called the oscillator. So, it is some period t, but what exactly waveform it gives does not generally specified by the word oscillator. So, you give an adjective to that oscillator saying what kind of waveform, periodic waveform does it give. So, strictly speaking, I must call something called a sine wave oscillator if the output is a sine wave with a given period or given frequency. Okay. On the other hand, I can also have an oscillator which is giving you square wave. It is periodic, but the amplitude is goes to plus 1 and minus 1. There is no other value. The square wave. Half the time it goes to plus and half the time it goes to a minus. So, such is called a square wave. So, this adjective is important, what this oscillator is generating. This oscillation concept is nothing unique to electrical engineering, and much older than even electrical engineering concept of oscillation. We started with mechanical engineers, right? So the
We use it on vibrators. We use it on vibrators. Vibrators is one application where we use it.
no all your bridge design,
Yes.
the bridge design, the frequency at which the bridge oscillates. And so all these are derived from the same differential equations which you have in the network theory. Anyway, so the concept of oscillation nothing unique to electrical engineering, but we will restrict our attention to electrical engineering in this particular course, but ideas are same. When you have wanted an oscillator, sine wave oscillator is the most commonly sought oscillator. Why? I think we spent whole one semester talking about the importance of sine wave, right? And so we must now by this time understand how important is a sine wave. And since it is so important, I must know how to generate such a sine wave. So most requirements in electrical engineering is a sine wave oscillator. Not that we don't need others, we do use them also, but most of them. If you give me a sine wave, by and large I can design any other waveform out of sine wave very easily by doing some nonlinear operations. So because of all this power of the sine wave, I must know how to generate a sine wave. It is very simple from your differential equation theory. Y double dot plus alpha square y is equal to 0. It is a simple harmonic differential equation, right? If you have any system like this, the output will be a sine wave or a cosine wave or a mix of both, right? So ideally, an oscillator has this equation, but such an equation is a practical equation, realistic equation or not? Remember when this occurred? This occurs only when you have pure inductor and a pure capacitor and no loss at all in the network. Under that condition, a small amount of charge hopefully somehow came up on a capacitor, and this will result into giving you a continuously output of a sine wave of some amplitude, and the amplitude depends upon the initial value of the charge on the capacitor, right? Because the amplitude of the sine wave depends upon the initial conditions. So initial value on the capacitor will give you what is the amplitude. But in real world, this will die down. Why? Because a loss. So amplitude has to continuously come down. So if you have a L and C in parallel with each other, do whatever you may, you will never get a stable sine wave. Frequency may be stable, but amplitude will die down. Then it doesn't fit into my definition of a sine wave oscillator. So what do I do? The only alternative is the amount of energy that is lost per cycle, if you can somehow push onto it again by some means, then I can maintain this amplitude. So some fellow who will be able to give you that additional power periodically is required. So we need an active device which can give you some power. So we cannot just use L and C in real world, we need to have some active device. So now what are the active devices we have today? Oscillators, transistors or MOSFETs are. But in good old days, what did we have? We had only vacuum tube, a triode. So people started trying to make an oscillator using a triode and a tuned circuit containing L and C, and try to see whether this will give you a sine wave or not. Because one is giving that small amount of power required, other is fixing the frequency. Hopefully all this put together properly should be able to give you a sine wave out.